Hello everyone, this is me Saima Apti and I'm here to tell you something about the Cambridge English Language Examination. The code of this paper is 1123. There are two papers, one writing and the other reading paper. In the first paper, there are two sections. Section 1 is directed writing. Directed writing section is the compulsory part. There would be one situation given to you. This part of paper is of 30 marks. The candidate needs to write 200 to 300 words for the given situation. Altogether, this paper is of 1 hour 30 minutes, but you need to divide the time wisely. It's best to invest 30 to 35 minutes as this part of paper is based on directions, and if you elaborate the directions perfectly, then you can gain maximum mark. Whereas the other part of the paper is creative writing, and in that part you have to plan everything on your own. That is why you need to invest less time on this part of paper. This part of paper is compulsory and you can have one of these situational writing tasks. It could be one letter, formal, informal, a report that could be suggestive, informative, or even a news report, account that could be personal account or eyewitness account, speech that could be persuasive or informative, article informative, or it could be magazine article that is informal in nature, or there could be a leaflet as well, which could ask you to invite someone or to sell your idea. The most important part is to read the question properly, although it is a writing task, but some of the marks are reserved for reading, and that could be easily depicted by the incorporation of most important details in your composition. So it's best to underline all the keywords and phrases. You can make notes in front of each of the given content points, especially in case if one of the content points has got two limbs. For example, if it's asked when and where the event was held, so you need to understand that both of the things are important. First, you need to mention it clearly that when this event had taken place, and then mention the other details. You are advised not to ignore any of the given details. You cannot change them either. For example, if the venue of an event is set to be the school, then you cannot change it in any ways. There would be three content points given, and you are required to elaborate each one of them properly, as each of them carries equal mark. This is a directed writing task taken from the past papers. You can see that this task is comprised of four parts. The first part is all about situation. While reading this part, you are required to underline the most important information that is to be incorporated in your composition. The second part would instruct you what exactly you need to write. For example, a letter, speech, an article. Whereas the third part would specify the information that is required to be incorporated in the paragraphs of the body. So if there are three content points, it's best to write three paragraphs in the body, and each content point should be elaborated equally and properly in a form of a paragraph. The last part is all about suggestions. They would ask you how to start or how to end or what needs to be considered. For example, this is letter writing. They're asking you to be polite and apologetic as something is being lost by you and you're required to write a letter of apology and then talk about how this could be replaced or how it could be compensated. There's some of the linguistic and structural features that are to be known by you while you're writing directed writing assignment. The most important one is the audience. Who are you writing for? For example, are you addressing it to the principal, teacher, friend, editor, or the police? Or why are you writing? What's the purpose of writing? Are you trying to explain something, inform, instruct, complain, or are you trying to persuade someone to take any action? Format is the structural feature of directed writing task. It tells you how would you structure your composition. For example, if you're writing a letter, how would you start the letter? Would you start off with your own address or the address of the recipient? And the same way, how would you end your composition? Are you going to sign it off or you're going to include the date as well? There are so many formats available. You need not to be baffled. You can adopt any one of them and just be stuck to it. The next feature is the linguistic features. Which type of language would be used? Which tone and register you're going to employ? It all depends upon your audience as well as the purpose. If your audience is fullest, you will remain formal, and if the report is investigative, you're going to provide the information and may also add some suggestions. You are advised to form at least 5 paragraphs. The first one would be the introduction, in which you'll reiterate the situation. This is going to help you attain the marks that are reserved for reading. The second part is the body, in which you are going to form at least 3 paragraphs. And these 3 paragraphs are going to elaborate 3 content points. It's best to elaborate all 3 of them separately so that the examiner can easily assess your performance and can find out whether you have fulfilled the task completely or not. The last part is the conclusion, in which you'll try to end the composition properly. If it's eyewitness account, you may assure continual support or you may demand any action appropriate for investigation. For paragraphing, you can give an indent and start it off, or you may leave a line, or you may do both of them, giving indent and leaving a line. Leaving a line after every paragraph makes your work presentable. As you are asked to read the question properly, you'll find out how to begin and end the compositions. So, if you're writing a letter and you are asked to start off with Dear Sir, you're not required to write any of the addresses. In the same way, if you're asked to end your composition properly, you're required to sign it off along with the date. To practice this part of paper, you are required to collect samples and read them properly. You can also gather helpful phrases, especially for beginning and ending of different types of directed writing tasks. You can practice past papers and then assess your performance using the band descriptors. You can also create your own situation and challenge your potential. This is the example of helpful phrases of formal letter. You can see that there are 2 types of letter, complaint and invitation. And the openings and closing for both of them are completely different. This part of paper is of 30 marks. These marks are equally divided into two parts. The first one is for task fulfillment and the second one is for language. To assess the performance in both the areas, band descriptors are used. You can see here that the first marks are of task fulfillment, followed by the marks for the language, and then a total is given out of 30. To attain maximum marks in language, you're required to come up with a variety of sentence structures, simple, complex, compound. You should use tenses according to the situation. For example, if you're writing a report about an event that had taken place, you are required to use past tense. You're also expected to use correct form of verbs, and subject should agree with the verb. The vocabulary needs to be wide and precise. The use of punctuation needs to be helpful. For example, the candidate is expected to know the use of full stop, comma, colon, and semicolon. Moreover, the spellings should be correct too. If you're using difficult words, make sure that you know the correct spelling of each of the word. For linking the paragraphs, you are required to use cohesive devices. For the task fulfillment, you need to know the purpose that why are you writing, and then the audience that who you are writing to. According to the purpose and audience, you will use suitable tone and register, and then you would begin the composition and end it properly according to the given situation and instruction. If you are giving personal opinions, you are required to justify it with examples and evidences. Make sure that your tone and register is appropriate according to the audience, the purpose, and situation, and all the three content points are elaborated properly and equally. Wish you all the best.